So in today's lesson, we're going to talk about the volume of pyramids, cones, and spheres. So obviously the objective today is to find the volume of pyramids, cones, and spheres. And these are going to be like what we did yesterday, only a little different because when we take the base times the height here, we're going to divide it by 3. Okay, so obviously our base here looks like it's a square. Could be a rectangle. Either way, we're going to do length times width times height, right? Base is length times width, and then we got our height, and then we're going to divide all that by 3. Now, on your formula sheet, it says the volume is equal to 1/3 times base times height. Well, the easier way to do that in the calculator is to find your base, multiply it times your height, and then divide the whole thing by 3, okay? So that's what we're going to do with this first one, and it says a rectangular prism with a length of 11 meters, a width of 18 meters, and a height of 24 meters. So obviously our base is our length and our width, right? So we're going to do 11 times 18, and then our height is our 23. So we're going to multiply all 3 of those numbers together, and then we're going to divide by 3 because this is a pyramid. The key here is, does the shape come to a point? If it comes to a point, y'all, then it's going to be divided by 3, okay? That's going to be true of a sphere as well, but we're going to do something else to a sphere in addition, okay? But with a cone and with a pyramid, they come to a point, and that's why we're dividing them by 3. And we're going to talk about why in just a minute, a little bit more after we do a couple of these. So trying to find my work here, y'all. So I got 4,554. And then I'm going to divide that by 3. So when I did that, I got that my volume was equal to 1,518. And again, this is meters cubed because it's volume, okay? So go ahead and do this you try for me and then come back to me when you're done. All right, on this one, our base, 6 times 4, and then our height is 17. Again, going to divide all that by 3. And you guys can do all of that in the calculator, right? So that's going to give me 408 divided by 3. And so that was equal to 136. And again, this is inches cubed. Okay? So this next problem says find the volume of the pyramid. It says a regular square pyramid with a base edge length of 12 feet. So let's go ahead and draw this base, guys. And this is going to be 12 by 12. And next I'm going to draw the actual sides of our pyramid. I have my sides, which are basically triangles that go up to a point. So when we talk about this basically having a slant height, we're talking about this right here, guys, going across that side right there. So that would be a slant height, and it says that this is 10 feet, okay? So what we really want to find is the actual height. So that's going to come straight down from the middle to the center right there, okay? And then it's going to come across like that. So that means that from that center point, it's going to be 12 across, all the way across. So we want half of that, right? So in other words, if we were to take this point right here and draw it to there, we could also have a slant height there of 10 feet. Y'all see that? So either way, it's the same thing. But what we're really looking for is this red height right here, and that's going to create a right angle, okay? So that means that this base right here is going to be 6 feet, right? This part right there is going to be 6 feet. So now hopefully you can see that we have a right triangle. So we're going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And the 10 feet is going to be our c because it's our hypotenuse. It's opposite the right angle, right? And then we're going to make this right here our height. Okay, so that's going to be h squared. And then the 6 is going to be our b squared. So that's going to be 6 squared, okay? So we're going to get h squared plus 36 equals 100. We're going to subtract 36 from both sides. So that's going to give us 64. And then we're going to take the square root of the h squared. So h is going to be equal to 8. So now we have our base, which is our 12 by 12, and our height, right? So we're going to go 12 times 12 times 8. We're going to divide all that by 3 to get our volume. Top is going to be 1,152. We're going to divide the whole thing by 3. So our volume is going to be equal to 384. And again, this is going to be feet cubed. Okay. So, now the next one, the one over here, is still a square pyramid with a base edge length of 9 centimeters and a height of 14 centimeters. Okay, so this one's a little bit easier. So let's see if I can take the same one we had over here and put it over here, and then we'll just write the dimensions on it. And pasted the one I had over there, only the difference is this time we've got 9 and 9, and this time we actually have the height, okay? So this time our height is equal to 14. So this one's a little easier because all we have to do is go 9 times 9 times 14 and divide all that by 3. So when I did that, I got 1134. Divide that by 3, and that's going to give us 378. And again, this is centimeters cubed. How does the volume of a pyramid relate to a prism that have the same base and height? So if we had a pyramid, it is 1/3 of the prism. So how does the volume of the pyramid? The pyramid is 1/3 the volume of the prism. So then it says, how does the volume of a prism relate to the pyramid? So if we had the pyramid, we would multiply 3 times that volume to get the volume of the prism. So again, the pyramid's 1/3 makes sense, right, guys? Because we're dividing it by 3, which means if we had a pyramid to get the volume of the same prism, have the same base and height, you would multiply it by 3. So our next one here is the cone, okay? So it says the volume of a cone with a base area B and radius r's, height h, is the volume is equal to 1/3 base times height. Now remember that this is a circle base, right? So we're going to do pi r squared, that's our base. Then we're going to multiply it by our height, and then we're going to take that and divide it by 3, okay? So it says find the volume, give your answer in terms of pi and to the 10th. So we're going to give 2 answers for this one. So again, our volume is, and notice what I did here. I did pi r squared h divided by 3 because that's the easier way to put it in the calculator versus multiplying by 1/3. So the cone with the radius of 7, so we're going to do 7, we're going to do pi times 7 squared times 15, and we're going to divide all that by 3, okay? So that's going to give us on top, when we multiply 7 squared times 15, 735 divided by 3, and that's still pi. So when we divide 735 by 3, we get 245 pi. That's our answer, and then that's going to be centimeters cubed. Now what I want you guys to do now is go ahead and multiply 245 times pi in your calculator, and that's going to be our approximate answer, right? So that's going to be 769.7, again, centimeters cubed. Now, before I let you guys do the U-try, I want you to look at it and tell me what's different about it. Do we have the radius? We have the diameter. Okay, so we're going to go to the center of this, and we have the diameter is equal to 18. Diameter is equal to 2 times the radius, right? So that means 18 is equal to 2r, so radius is equal to 9. So we have to have our radius to find this volume, okay? So we're going to go ahead and do this now. Pause the video and come back to me when you're done. All right, so on this one we're doing, again, volume is equal to pi times 9 squared times our height, which is our 8, and then we're going to divide all that by 3. So when I did this one, I got 216 pi, and this is going to be meters cubed, right? Now multiply that 216 by pi, and you should have got approximately 678.6 meters cubed. Okay? All right, now let's do these next two. It says find the volume, give your answer in terms of pi and to the 10th. This is a cone with a base circumference. Ooh, circumference. So circumference is equal to 2 times pi times the radius, okay? And a height that is 2 inches more than twice the radius, okay? So the height is going to be 2 inches more than twice the radius. So that's what our height's going to be equal to, 2 times r plus 2, right? So it tells us that the circumference is 25 pi, right? So 25 pi. So we're going to set those two equal to each other, okay? And we're going to actually solve for our radius. So first I notice that there's a pi on both sides. That cancels out. And I'm going to divide both sides by 2, right? Okay, so that means r is going to be equal to half of 25. So that's going to be 12.5, right? So then we're going to plug this in down here. 2 times 12.5. Well, we know that's 25 plus 2. So that's 27. So that's our height. So now what we have to do is do our pi r squared, because we're looking for the volume, right? So we're going to do pi r squared times our height. Actually, let me move this down some because that's going to mess up there. We're going to be confused. So let me write it here. Volume is equal to pi r squared, height divided by 3, right? So that's going to be pi times our radius, 12.5, squared times our height, which we now know is 27, and we're going to divide all that by 3. So I moved that over to the left, so I have a little bit more room to work, and so now we're going to do 12.5 squared times 27 and divide all that by 3, equal to 1406.3, or 25 actually, 1406.25 pi, and that is going to be, what is that, inches cubed? Now if I multiply that by pi, I got 44,117.9, again, inches cubed. Okay? So let's talk about this next one before you guys get going. This one says base area. Now remember, the base of a cone is a circle, right? So that's going to be our pi r squared is equal to our base, right? So that's going to be equal to 36 pi. This time it says the height is equal to twice the radius. So our height this time is 2 times the radius, and that's it. So you guys should be able to figure this out now, right? I need you to find the radius, and then I need you to multiply it by 2 to find the height, and then do that formula for the cone. So pause the video, go ahead and do that, come back to me when you're done. Okay, so over here I'm going to do this first. So I'm going to cross out my pi's, and I'm going to take the square root of 36. So r is equal to 6, yes? Which means our height is equal to 2 times 6, which means it's 12, yes? Okay, now this time we have our base area, so I don't have to compute that. So my base, because remember, a volume is equal to base times height divided by 3, right? So we're going to do 36 pi times 6, and then we're going to divide all that by 3. So again, we're going to get 2 answers here. So when we multiply it, we got, first our volume is 144 pi. That's what 36 times 6 divided by 3 is. And again, that's going to be feet cubed, right? Now multiply that pi times the 144, and that's going to be our estimated answer, right? Approximate answer. So this one's going to be 452.4, and again, this is still feet cubed, okay? So then it says, how does the volume of a cone relate to a cylinder that have the same bases and height? So again, the cone is going to be 1/3 the volume of the cylinder, right? And then it says, how does the volume of a cylinder relate to the cone? So this one, what I said, 1/3 the volume, okay, of the cylinder, right? So then how does the volume of the cylinder relate to a cone? So the cylinder would be 3 times the volume of the cone, okay? And similarly, this is because of it coming to a point. And 3 cones that have the same height and base make 1 cylinder that has the same height and base, okay? All right, here's the next one, sphere. So sphere is a set of all points in a space that are fixed from the center of the sphere, okay? And then it says a radius of a sphere connects the center of the sphere to any point on the sphere. So you could literally do that any place on the sphere, and that would be your radius. A hemisphere is half the sphere, and the great circle divides sphere into two hemispheres. So the volume of a sphere, y'all, is 4/3 pi r cubed. So the way I like to look at it is, again, multiplying 4 on top times pi r cubed. And why is it cubed? Because we have 3 dimensions again. So if we go left and we go back and then we go down or up, those are 3 dimensions, and that's what we got to have. That's why the r is cubed, because it's a 3-dimensional object, a sphere is, okay? So what we're going to do here is we're going to find the volume of this sphere. So this is not very hard. So we're doing the volume of the sphere is equal to 4 times our radius. That's our radius right there, right? So we're doing 8.25 cubed, and then we're going to multiply that by pi, and we're dividing all that by 3. So here again, we're going to give 2 answers. We're going to give an answer with pi in it, and we're going to give an answer when we multiply by pi. So the first answer I got here was 748.9 pi, and this again would be centimeters cubed. Now multiply, that's our equal because that's exact. Now we're going to multiply that times our pi, right? So when we multiply it times pi, we get 2,352.1, and again, this is centimeters cubed, okay? So go ahead and do this, you try, recognizing that r in this problem is equal to the square root of 5, okay? Pause the video, come back to me when you're done. So our volume is equal to 4 times the square root of 5 cubed times our pi divided by 3. And you can take the cube root of 5 and put it right in your calculator, or the square root of 5 and put it right in your calculator and then cube it, okay? Take it to the 3rd power, multiply that times 4, and divide all that by 3. And when you do that, I got 14.9 pi, and again, this is feet cubed, right? And then when we multiply that by pi, that's our equal, that's exact, right? Then we're going to estimate it by multiplying it by pi, and that's going to be 46.8 feet cubed, okay? All right, so down here, this is going to kick it to the next level, okay, y'all? It says find the radius of a sphere with a volume of 972 pi yards cubed. So we now have the volume. And remember, this is 4 pi r cubed over 3, right? So for our volume, we're going to put 972 pi, and that's going to be equal to and this time I'm going to break out that 4/3, and you're going to see why in just a second. 4/3, and then we got our pi, and then we got our r to the 3rd, okay? So what do you notice on both sides of the equal sign right now? Yep, pi. So we're going to cross that out. Now, how do we get rid of a 4/3, guys? Don't we multiply by its reciprocal? That's exactly what we're going to do right now. So we're going to multiply this by 3/4, which means we're also going to multiply this by 3/4 over here. So put parenthesis 3 divided by 4 and multiply that by 972 in your calculator, because over on the right we have made that 1 now. Yes, okay? So when I did that, when I took where is it at? I got 729 is equal to r cubed. Now, I need y'all to really watch me here, because this is the tricky part. So to get rid of a 3, don't we normally multiply by 1/3? That makes it 3 over 3, which is 1, right? So we're going to take, again, the 729 to the 1/3 power. This is the part that always gets people, guys. So in your calculator, you're going to do 729, do your caret symbol, and then take it to the 1/3 power, and then tell me what that is. So you should have got 9. That's equal to r, okay? So that means this is 9 yards. Y'all got that? So how do I know that's true? Take 9 to the 3rd power. It's 729. That's how you can check your answer, okay? So I want to see if you guys can do this on the you try. Again, just take it backwards. Y'all see that? Just work backwards on this and see if you can get the answer, okay? So again, volume is equal to 1150.35, right? And that formula is 4/3 pi r cubed, okay? So this time, notice there is no pi, right? So that means I'm going to go ahead and just do this first. I'm going to multiply this by 3/4, and I'm going to multiply this by 3/4, okay? So when I did that, what did I get? Pause. Guys, when I multiplied 3/4 times 1150.35, I got 862.7625. Now I'm going to divide that. That's exactly what I had in my calculator. Put all the digits there because I'm not going to change what's in my calculator. Now I'm just going to divide both sides by pi that's in my calculator. So go ahead and divide that by pi. And when you did that, you should have got 274.625 or 63, whatever. 625. Blah, 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 more stuff, right? Okay. So that's going to be equal to r to the third. Now listen, I'm not going to change my calculator until I'm completely, or pull the number from my calculator until I'm completely done. Okay. So now I'm going to take this. How do I get rid of that third power? I take it to the 1/3 power, right? So we're going to take this to the 1/3 power. Okay. So we're going to take that number that's in our calculator, again, do the caret symbol, take it to the 1/3 power, 1 divided by 3. And when I did that, I got 6.5 is equal to r. It was 6.5000006. Yeah, y'all got me? So again, how do I know that's right? Do 6.5 to the third. So if you do 6.5 to the third power, you get 274.625. And then if you multiply that times pi, this is how you can check it, guys. Go back and just double check it, right? And then you're going to multiply that times 4 and divide it by 3. And that got me back to 1150.35. Okay, so that's how you can check it, is just do it backwards, okay? Plug it back into the original formula and see if you got the same answer you started with, okay? So now, this next one says each measurement, find each measurement, give your answer in terms of pi. It says find the volume of the sphere. So notice here again, we have the diameter and we want the radius, right? So the radius is equal to half of 24, so that's 12. So this is going to be pi times 12 to the third, right? And we're multiplying that times 4, and we're dividing it all by 3. 4 pi r cubed, yes? This one says just give your answer in terms of pi, so we don't have to give the other answer. So do 4 times 12 to the third and divide that by 3. So when I did this, I got 2304 pi, and again, this is going to be inches cubed, yes? It says give it in terms of pi. We don't have to give the other answer, right? Here again, we have the diameter. This is equal to the diameter. So we're going to do 61.9 divided by 2. That's going to give our radius, right? So that's what I got to find first. So our radius is equal to 30.95, okay? Now, go ahead and find the volume. Pause the video. Come back to me when you're done. Volume is equal to 4 times pi. You know what? I'm just going to put the pi at the end because that's what I'm doing last, right? So I'm just going to do my 30.95 to the third power. Pi is going to go over here and dividing all that by 3, right? So go ahead and put that in your calculator again. And this one is a nice big number. This is 39,529.4 pi, and this is going to be inches cubed, right? Okay, so these next two are a little harder, y'all. It says find the diameter of the sphere with a volume of 3,600 pi. So our volume is 3,600, or 36,000, sorry, pi, and that's equal to 4/3 pi r cubed, right? So notice pi's on both sides of the equal sign, right? So it's going to cancel out. How do we get rid of the 4/3 again? Yep, you got it. We're going to multiply it by 3/4, and we're going to multiply this by 3/4. Multiply 3/4 of 36,000. And I think you get 27,000, right? 27,000. And that's equal to our r cubed. How do we get rid of that cube? Yep, you take it to the 1/3 power. So again, in your calculator, you're going to take 27,000 to the 1/3 power. And when you get that r is equal to 30 centimeters, right? But it didn't ask for the radius. What did it ask for? The diameter. So what do we have to do to that? The diameter is equal to 2 times the radius. So that means our diameter is going to be equal to 60 centimeters, right? Okay, so let's see if you guys can do this one. It's just like it. Find the diameter of the sphere with the volume of 481.33 pi centimeters cubed. Pause the video. Go ahead and try this one. Okay, 481.33 pi equals 4/3 pi r cubed. Gone, right? Going to multiply this times 3/4. Going to multiply this times 3/4. When I did that, I got 360.9975. Remember, I'm leaving that in the calculator just like it is. That's equal to r to the 3rd. How do I get rid of the 3rd power? I take it to the 1/3 power. So that number that I have in my calculator, I'm taking to the 1/3 power. And when I did that, I got the radius of 7.12. But it didn't ask me for the radius. It asked me for the diameter. So again, we're going to multiply that times 2. So our diameter is going to be equal to, what is that? 14.24 centimeters again. Okay? Now, the last two are pretty easy because it's just asking for the hemisphere. Now, there's 2 ways you could do this. You could do, knowing that it's 4/3, you could do 4/3 times 1/2, right? Because hemisphere is half of it. So wouldn't that give you 4/6, which reduces to be 2/3? So instead of multiplying the sphere by 4/3, you can multiply it by 2/3, and that's half the sphere. Or you just solve it and then take half of it. I don't care which way y'all do it, okay? You can do it either one. So let's just go ahead and do the 4/3 way first. So we're going to go 4 times pi times 15 cubed divided by 3, okay? So when we do that, I got 4,500 pi. So this is 4,500 pi, right? Now that's the whole sphere, okay? So if we want to find the hemisphere, we divide that by 2, right? So isn't that going to be 2250 pi? And that's going to be our meters cubed. Now, again, if we were going to do it the other way, we could have done 2 times pi times 15 cubed divided by 3. It would have got us the same answers we got down there, y'all. So I don't care which way you do it. If you know that 2/3 is half of 4/3, which makes sense, right? Because 2 is half of 4, then you could do it that way. All right. So, all right, now do this last one. This is again a hemisphere. You better notice that. Now this time it says you have a diameter though. So what is the radius? Yes. So if the diameter is equal to 12, then the radius is equal to 6. Yes. Okay. So this one I'm going to do like I said the other one. I'm going to do 4 times pi times 6 cubed divided by 3. Okay? So when I did that, I got 288 pi. Then I'm just going to divide that by 2. So my answer is going to be 144 pi. Again, inches cubed. That's it, guys.